Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week with a topic that's kind of dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. This is a topic I've had on our list that I've wanted to talk about for a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I've had it on the list for a long time is because I want to bring someone on to talk about this. But with haunt season ramping up, we've been talking about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how practical it is to try to get guests in the middle of haunt season, especially when you consider our studio is about one weekend away from getting taken apart to make room for the haunt.
Yeah.
So we've kind of taken those guest plans we have, and we do have plans. We have been in contact with people, and we're putting them off until November. I think that's probably the best idea.
Okay.
Just because that way everyone who's a haunter can do haunt stuff, and basically we can too, because our weekends are going to be pretty full from now on. We're going to be squeezing these recordings and whenever we can. Like today, we're literally doing it on the Monday of,
right?
Because it's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to those in the United States. But yeah, so that's kind of in my thinking there. I know I sprang that on you a little bit because we hadn't talked about it a little bit, but not made any firm decisions, and I just wanted to explain that now. But I do want to bring someone on to talk about this. So I figure what we can do is do laying a groundwork episode here, and then bring on someone that's actually smart about this stuff to come talk about it later.
Yeah.
That's unreasonable?
It does.
So if you want to know when that episode goes live, check us out at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, and Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/Haunt Weekly's the YouTube channel. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts from. And stay tuned, facebook.com/Haunt Weekly. That's where we make the announcements of our live episodes that would happen when we bring on one of these guests. Mm-hmm. You'll get the announcements there. All right, every week we ask you a question of the week, and I forgot to pick a question of the week this week.
Yeah, but that's okay. We can get through last week's question of the week.
Definitely, then we can think of something. But last week's question of the week was, what haunt are you excited about seeing in the 2022 season? Sam Farrell said the Haunted Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Sounds interesting. Ty Rowley, Nightmare on 13th. Halloween Haunts 365 listed a whole bunch of haunts in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. Basically every major haunt in the Northeast, I think, in one swoop. Nothing wrong with that, though. And, of course, because of the nature of our audience, so many answers for Dent Schoolhouse.
Yes.
A lot of peeps in the Ohio area, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I would be too, honestly. I think I agree with that.
All right, so this week's question of the week is, what are you doing to preserve your haunt history at your haunted house?
That's a good idea. And this is something we've actually been thinking about here with ours.
Yeah.
And we'll get into what we've done as the episode goes on, but we've taken some of these steps.
Yeah.
We could be better about some others.
Yeah, wish we had started when we started.
Yeah. And that honestly, I think is the biggest theme that we're going to have. Is like, I think we do pretty good today at preserving things.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Like, we don't even have a photo from the first year.
No. I mean, in our defense, that first year was the year of Katrina.
Yeah.
Everything came together. It was chaos, loosely controlled.
Yes, and we didn't know that we'd be doing it this
Yeah, we didn't realize this would be the first year of many.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't fully understand what we were getting into.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What are you doing to preserve your haunts history? Let us know. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.com/Haunt Weekly, and YouTube.com/Haunt Weekly. Let us know. Now, we're getting to that time of year where each episode we want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for our haunt, because ideally we are doing at least a little bit each week right now. It's going to be kind of weird this season. Mm-hmm. Because, as I've mentioned multiple times before, our haunt has been pretty much finished since around Halloween 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, we were closed in 2019 due to road work, but we did not know that for certain until super late in the game. I think we pulled the trigger right around now on cancellation, right around early September. And so we were mostly done by then. And then we finished it completely for HauntCon, which was in January 2020. And it's been sitting idle. So much of what we have to do isn't actually haunt work.
Yeah.
It's haunt clean out.
Yes, it's making it back into a haunted house instead of storage for the past 3 years.
Yeah, and we took one of our first big steps this weekend. And
Yeah.
even though it didn't take as long as we thought it would, it was still a very huge step we took. And that was we got our queue line back in order.
Yes.
Now, our queue line has got to be one of the haunt builds, if not the haunt build, I'm most proud of.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's survived hurricanes.
Yeah, 2 now.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. We knew we wanted a more permanent queue line. We used a temporary tent for the queue line, covered queue line area.
Right.
For many years. It was fine.
Yeah, with like little rope system for the cattle gates.
It was fine, but it looked bad. It wasn't very safe. It didn't give our queue line actors opportunities to get scares.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have a way to let people in and out of it other than the ends of the queue line. It was just basically not an efficient system.
Yeah.
All around. It was not helping anyone. And so what we did is we took the tent, moved it to the actor area in the backyard, and we constructed a brand new queue line system. And it was kind of crazy that it worked as well as it did, because we realistically did not have a plan for this.
Well, a little bit.
We had an idea, we had sketches, but we put in a lot more of the design work and so forth and stuff we did inside the haunt than we did for this. We just kind of built it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, we did a good enough job that it survived 2 hurricanes, as you noticed, but it's also still pretty much usable. We have to make one minor adjustment to the trapdoor.
Yeah.
I think, but
it does close now.
But see, the thing is, once we realized this pandemic thing was for real, and that we were in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was unlikely we would be. I mean, we installed a hot tub in it.
Yeah.
And basically what that entailed was going in through the trapdoor on the side, and we took out 2 of the cattle gates. It's got 6 different cattle gates in it.
Right.
So we took out the two that were dead in the center. They gave us plenty of room to put up the hot tub and move this around. It was a nice little secluded area.
Yeah.
And because of the way we built the fence boards and hang up things, it was very secluded, very quiet, very nice, very fun. But it also meant we had removed 2 of the center structures of the queue line.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was never intended to be a long-term solution.
No.
It was only meant to last until
6 months.
6 months or so. So A is that. And B is we really weren't thinking of those as being as structural as I think they were.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wound up being that those 2 were pretty important pieces that we should not have taken out.
No.
So everything got moved more with the wind.
Yeah, basically what happened is, from what we can tell, is I'm sure most of this happened during Ida last year.
Yeah.
The 2 outer sets of cattle gates, the ones that were not removed, got pushed inward by the storm, by just the forces of the of the roof and all that, pushed it inward, and say that very carefully, Jonathan, pushed it toward the inside, and then as a result of that, the whole structure was not square plumb.
Yeah.
And we realized that, before we went out there, we kind of knew that was the problem. And we were hoping that putting these centerpieces back in would actually fix that. And it seems to have done so.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't have to tear the whole thing down and start over,
I was really worried that we were going to get out there and try to get these pieces back into place, and we were going to discover this was a teardown job, not a fix job.
Yeah. But
it is definitely a fixed job. It is very, very solid right now. Very, very, very square and plumb. It's about as good as it originally was when we first put it up.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, we still have to beat back one of the cattle gates to its proper 36-inch spacer.
Right. It's about an inch and a half off.
Yeah, but it's not as nearly as bad off as it was.
No.
A and B. Yeah, I mean. And that's things that we can do.
And one of the reasons that it moved, some of you might be asking, well, why didn't you concrete screw it into the ground? Well, permitting in this city means
Yeah.
that if we affix it to the ground, then it's a permanent structure and we have to get extra permits for it.
Yeah.
If we don't affix it to the ground, then
It's a temporary structure.
it's temporary structure.
No matter, even though it's been up for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, fun. Fun fact.
Yeah, it's a fun fact, and that's why we have never done it. We've relied on the weight
Mm-hmm.
because the fucker's pretty heavy.
Yeah,
We've
it's
relied
very heavy.
on the weight to hold it in place, and here's the thing. It took a Category 4 hurricane on the chin, missing 2 of its supports.
Yeah.
The only damage it took, and this is something we do have to fix, is one of the roof pieces.
Yeah.
They get torn off, but that is a stupid easy fix for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the fact, we have never really done roofing of any type before.
No.
So we were entering a whole new world for us. That roof has done very well for 2 people that didn't know jack shit about putting a roof on things. About to say an hour before they started that.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
I think we did really, really well with it. I'm very proud with how it came out. And I'm super proud now that I can say on a podcast, it survived Hurricane Ida, a Category 4 storm with 2 support pieces missing and only minor damage.
Yeah.
And now we put those pieces back. Everything's square and plumb, and it's ready to go. We have to get the roof piece back. We have to get some mold spray on it because there's a lot of vegetation near it in our neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
You know, we can't control that.
Right.
And basically, in New Orleans, I don't know if this is a problem in other climes, but in New Orleans, your house will get this green surface mold.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't
from vegetation.
like, penetrate.
Yeah, it doesn't penetrate. It's not dangerous.
Like cars get it too.
Yeah, cars get it too, but it just looks disgusting.
Yeah.
It looks like that sickly, pukey green.
Yes.
And
Yes, it is. It is built-in weathering.
yeah, so the thing is, we're probably going to power wash it / spray it with anti-mold and move on. Because this is all ground contact wood anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The wood itself is fine. It's just it looks green and nasty because of this. I don't know if that's a problem elsewhere. I don't really recall that being a thing in South Carolina, but it is definitely a thing in New Orleans. I mean, we get it on our vinyl siding of our house.
Yeah.
And of course, that's not penetrating.
Mm-mm.
So no, the queue line is more or less in order. We got to finish clean out of it. We got to trim back the vegetation we can in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we can start work on both the actor area and the inside of the home.
Yeah.
And I think the actor area will be one of the last things we fix.
I agree.
Because A, it's to the back, it's
Yeah.
to the end. And also, we really wanted to minimize the amount of outside work we do in the hotter months.
Well, not only is it hotter, but it's also rainy right now.
Yeah.
Like every day we get rain.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why we haven't done more work than we have, is we got mostly rained out Saturday.
Yeah.
We did we worked in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and it rained all afternoon.
Yeah.
It rained pretty much from the time we came in for lunch
Mm-hmm.
all the way until the evening. So yeah, it's been a lot of rain this weekend. And hopefully we're able to get more work done, but we are in the rainy season of New Orleans. And like I said, I think we have a lot we can do in the haunt itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it, I think we're going to make progress very quickly. Like surprisingly quickly. It looks bad in there right now. I'm not going to lie. It looks bad, but it's picking up and throwing shit out or moving it to where it belongs bad.
Yeah.
It's not building bad.
Yeah, which is going to be a challenge in and of itself because the city has cut back garbage service, and
Yeah.
and apparently to place an order to pick up bulk trash is not working because we put in an order.
For the hot tub,
Yeah.
the aforementioned hot tub, that's still sitting in our front yard. We got
Yeah.
to figure out some of that. Yeah, there are 2 great challenges I see this year already
Mm-hmm.
for us. One is what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Because one of the rules we've always had between basically Labor Day to Halloween is we never miss a trash pickup.
Yeah, and we always have full trash cans.
So never miss a trash pickup. I mean, sometimes when we have twice weekly trash pickup during non-haunt season, screw it, we don't have enough trash on Monday, whatever. We'll just let them come get it Thursday. And that's fine. You can do that when you're not actively working in a haunt and generating more trash.
Mm-hmm.
This year we don't have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try to compensate as much as we can, but that is a huge challenge for us right now. And the second challenge I see is we do not have a Spirit Halloween anywhere
No.
nearby.
I mean, we haven't bought anything from them for a long
No,
time,
but
but
they've been
it affects the
our
marketing.
Yeah, they have been the key focal point for us getting the word out through flyers. They've been our central point of flyer distribution. And the nearest spirit, I think, to us is in Kenner.
Yeah.
Which, okay, to put that in context, Algiers is on the west bank side of the river of New Orleans, but we're basically, if you have the box in New Orleans, we're basically about as far to the southeast as you can get and be in the New Orleans area.
Mm-hmm.
Kenner is all the way to northwest. It's diagonal across the metro region.
It's 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. And and I don't think people in Kenner are likely to come to a home haunt in Algiers.
No.
And vice versa. So we'll probably do one flyer run there at some point, and then just to see what's going on at Spirit. I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all the other spirits are even further out than that. They're either on the North Shore on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain, or the way out in the river parishes, and they're not opening anything in New Orleans at all.
Yeah.
And not just not in New Orleans, but not in any immediately neighboring towns, like the suburbs either. Because, like, Kenner is separated from New Orleans by Metairie.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They're not opening in Metairie. They're not opening in Chalmette. They're not opening in Gretna. They're not opening in any of the adjacent towns either. So I don't know why. There is plenty of abandoned retail property that they could open up in. I have no idea why they aren't doing this, but they are not, at least not as of the places they've announced. So this will be fun.
Yeah.
We get to work on this. But yes, we've started haunt work, and we get to talk about that for a good bit of each episode for a bit.
Yes.
I think that's exciting stuff.
Yes. And we also have other news.
Yes.
Ellie has found a place for her yarn store. I think we've mentioned it on the podcast before, but Ellie's been wanting to open up a yarn store for as long as we've known her. She signed a
letter of intent.
Letter of intent. So that is moving forward as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a very trying couple of months.
Very busy.
Because you and I have got a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We may be doing video reviews again. I don't know. We haven't
the
talked
haunt
about
visits.
Yeah, the haunt visits. But we have the haunt visits either way the wind blows.
Mm-hmm.
And including one haunt trip where we're planning on going somewhere afield. And we have a yarn store we're helping open. And we have a haunt we're trying to finish and get ready to open. Now, luckily, we do have one other piece of haunt news. We've been in contact with all of our actors now. We found a head count. We have pretty much everyone we thought we'd have. We're hoping we'd have.
Yeah, I looked this morning, and it looks like we have enough to staff the inside of the haunt.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I was worried.
Yeah, so we're still going to put a call out for additional volunteers, and we're going to talk to a couple people in the neighborhood that have either done it before or
have expressed interest.
Or expressed interest, yeah. That we don't know on Facebook. This is our private Facebook group this took place on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're going to have enough to fully staff the haunt. Any way the wind blows. Knock on wood, of course. So yeah, I actually am really happy. That went way smoother than I thought it would after 3 years of downtime.
Yeah, me too.
I was very stunned by that. I figured I'd be getting fucking crickets back on that.
Yeah, I thought we might have half.
Yeah, I was hoping. In fact, we got one person who's new.
Yeah.
Never acted in a haunt before. Now, I know she's going to be great because I know who she's with. Mm-hmm. She's got good coaches.
You know they're going to be great.
Oh, yes, that's true. So you're absolutely correct. Yep. They will be great. I know who they're coming with. I know who their coaches are. They are more than prepared, even if they've never been in a haunt before. They are going to be good. I mean, I'm actually excited about it because they actually indicated they're one of the type that is kind of scared of haunted houses a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they make the best fucking actors pretty much universally. It doesn't make sense.
In our very limited experience.
We have had very good luck with people who say, oh no, I'm too scared to go into honest. Well, then you're going to act in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Those people work out great, almost universally in our experience. Yeah. I don't know why, but I love it. I really do. So yeah. But yeah, we got a yarn store on top of everything else. And I keep forgetting about that. Well, not forgetting. I keep... My brain has been... My brain has been stuck in loops, especially these past couple of days. And one of the things that's going on in it is just how much we have to do with the next 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
on top of our regular day jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling very much overwhelmed. Yeah, but anyways, speaking of being overwhelmed and old, we're old. Well, oldish.
Yeah.
We're both in our 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think anyone's going to call us young.
No.
And if anyone's calling us young, then they are definitely old.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We were not even alive, not even born,
Mm-hmm.
during the peak of the JC era of haunting, the 60s and into the 70s. We were not even alive. And if we were alive, it was just barely. So yeah, we have no idea of knowing what was going on in those early decades. We've heard the tales. We've heard people describe it. We've seen some photos of it. But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Read articles. And many of our actors and other haunters we know are much younger than us, A. And B, many cases, they're younger than the haunts they are visiting and working at. Because we have haunts. We talked about Headless Horseman hitting 30.
Yeah.
How many actors in that haunt are under 30? Probably the vast majority.
Yeah. Probably.
Probably the vast majority.
Yeah. I bet there are very few people outside of the owners who were there when it started.
I doubt there were very many people there, but outside the owners who were even alive and in that area and would have been able to go from the start, you know? So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, haunts are, it's becoming more and more common for haunts to celebrate 25, 30, 35-year anniversaries while being staffed by people in their teens and 20s.
Yeah.
So this raises a question. What can we do to preserve our history? And that is a thorny question. Basically, how do we share our history with people who weren't there and could not have been there?
Right. And how do we, if you haven't been doing anything for it, how do you do that now? How do you start this year going forward?
Mm-hmm. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I was thinking about the JC era at one point and wishing that I could hop in Peabody and Sherman's time machine and go back and visit one of these JC haunts. I probably would not have been impressed at all, but it'd be very cool to see like the genesis of the industry. What's up?
I'm just laughing because Peabody and Sherman is definitely a reference that younger people listening to this are not going to get.
Okay, but you can go back and watch Peabody and Sherman. That is preserved, motherfucker.
It is.
That is on like fucking streaming now. You can go back and watch it's on the cartoons and the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Just go figure it out. It's got Moose and Squirrel too. It's great. Fucking great. Peabody and Sherman and Fractured Fairy Tales for life. Fuck Moose and Squirrel.
Fractured Fairy Tales, yes.
Fractured Fairy Tales is great.
Yeah.
Really, I just would love to watch a show of that. But anyways,
we have a DVD set of that.
I know. Believe me, I know. But there's a key problem here, which is that haunts are inherently a temporary thing.
Right.
Haunts are not permanent.
No, and I don't think, even if you get into it for a business, I don't know if anyone that I know of has gotten into it with the idea that this is going to be something that's passed down generation to generation to generation and be around forever.
Yeah.
Like, even if they retire.
Yeah. Or maybe they do, but even if they do, even your longest running haunts change heavily.
Oh, yeah.
Year to year. I mean, hopefully they do.
I would hope so.
They'd better. I mean, the only thing worse than lack of preservation would be totally screwing your customers by giving them the exact same show year to year.
Yeah. But you can't even do that because there are different actors that, present characters in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Anyone who has had two actors play the same room in the same year knows what we're talking about right now. Because you know and I know that even if they're playing the same character, even if they're on the same page about that character, even if they have the same idea what's going on, they're going to do it in fundamentally different ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, basically, no haunts the same year over year. And last year is already lost to the ether. In fact, last night is lost to the ether.
Yeah.
I mean, screw last year. Last night is gone. And to make matters worse, so much of what makes the haunted attraction experience so great can't be preserved. I mean, it's those in-the-moment interactions.
Right.
Those exchanges with a character in the haunt or customers with each other
Yeah.
in some cases. Customer reactions. Yeah, you can videotape it. Yeah, maybe you should.
You definitely should have security cameras and videotape.
But yeah, you can record it. But take it from a guy who has been building a haunt for 15 years and never seen a scare live, or almost never been able to see a scare live. Yeah. It is not the same.
No.
There is an element, there's an energy, there's a feeling missing. Yeah, you can see the marionette guy literally dance like a marionette. I mean, I still don't understand that reaction, but whatever. No. Fear reaction's gonna fear react. That's all I'm gonna say. I can see that, and I have, but it's not the same as being in that moment.
Right. And lots of times I don't get to see every scare.
No one does.
I don't go through the whole haunt anymore.
Yeah, no one does. No one gets to see all the scares.
No.
So yeah, I mean, but yeah, and also there's things like smells, touches, mustiness, feelings that you can't, you know what I mean? That you can't preserve. There's no good way to preserve it. So, how do we preserve our history? And the reasons for doing this are multiple. It's important that we learn from our mistakes. If we don't have our history, if we don't preserve our history, we're never going to be able to learn from our mistakes, and we're going to repeat them. It's important we track our growth. One of the reasons I would love to get in that Peabody and Sherman time machine and go see the JC haunt is to go, man, I'm so glad I was born in this era, my era of haunting. Yeah. Right? I would have never been interested in haunting if I'd been introduced to this shit. I probably would say exactly that.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. We got way better. I hope I'd say that. Because if I don't, we got a problem.
Yeah, I think what we would be saying was, holy shit, this is unsafe. How did this ever get to be a thing?
That is one of the areas of growth. Has been our vast safety improvements.
Exactly. Like the very first haunts, I don't see them as safe things.
Yeah. And what I have seen of a lot of those actual standalone haunted houses that were from that era, there was a lot of slides. A lot. They brought in a lot of other carnival elements that you would expect to see on other carnival rides, like slides, halls of mirrors, things like that, like funhouse type stuff. Yeah, in particular, and not necessarily the right thing to do, especially in a dark room. But it's just important that we can show and share our history, especially with those who weren't there and couldn't be there. Yeah. So, first off, how can we preserve our history? Well, like I said, we're laying groundwork today. We're coming back, hopefully, sometime before the end of the year with an actual expert to help give us some advice. But here's a few things to talk about. First off, I want to give a shout out to the Dark Ride Project. This is a project which has been using VR to preserve dark rides. And dark rides are, of course, like haunted houses at fairs. They're the rides at fairs that are haunted attractions there. And they are definitely a fading tradition. I don't understand how. No. But they definitely are. So what these individuals have been doing is they have been getting permission, and that's been part of the process, and they have been getting on these dark rides with 360/virtual reality cameras and recording them. So that way, one ride through, boom, they've got the entire experience. And one great thing about that with a dark ride is the experience is largely static from customer to customer to customer. So one ride through with one camera really does give you a good idea what your experience would be.
Yeah, and especially if you're, wearing a VR and sitting in a rocking chair.
Yeah. I've been meaning, this is true, I got a fucking Oculus right here. I'm holding one of the fucking handles. I've been meaning to get on the Oculus and try these dark ride things with VR. Just sit here in my office chair, my squeaky office chair. Yeah. And try it out and see how it feels. Maybe I'll do that a little bit later.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Because you can access it through the YouTube app in Oculus. I'm very sure of this. But it was just an interesting idea, and I think that is doing pretty much all that is possible in that particular space. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But here's the thing. Haunted attractions go well beyond dark rides. And dark rides are a fading tradition, but walk-through haunts and trail haunts and so forth are very much still a growing tradition. So what about us?
Yeah.
What about those who make our customers use their feetsies? What about us? Well, let's go over some ideas.
Okay.
The first is to plagiarize.
Yeah.
Plagiarize.
Yeah.
VR and video. Obviously, we should start here because that's what we have seen is pretty effective.
Right.
The Dark Ride Project had a reason for this approach. It was smart. Now, here's the thing. 360 cameras are relatively cheap, and you can purchase them on Amazon right now. In fact, I've got one beside me here. I just don't know where it went.
Yeah, I don't know where ours is, but we do have.
Oh, here it is. No, it's right here.
Oh, okay.
I got it in my hand. Oh, it's dusty as a motherfucker. Jesus Christ! Like it hasn't been
like
used in 3 years.
Portal.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
I'm in space.
I'm in space. No, but anyways, yeah. I'm sorry, it's right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a Samsung Gear. I think I got the first model. You can get a reasonably good 360-degree camera right now for between $100 and $300. You can actually get cheaper, but in my looking in that, the reviews were not kind.
Right.
I would go ahead and spend a little bit of extra money. I'm kind of torn on this because on one hand, it makes sense to spend the money and get equipment that's going to work and you're going to be happy with. Because one of the challenges I found when I was using this wasn't so much the hardware, it's the software. You have to get, with this camera, I know you have to get special gear software for the Mac or whatever to actually access the videos and stitch it together as a proper 360. And it's kind of a motherfucker. I'm not going to deny it. And if I might be looking to replace this camera because, I don't know if the software works with the new Macs. I have to test it. So that's one of the first things I got to do as I'm preparing for this haunt season. But yeah, so I get it though. On one hand, this makes sense to get the better equipment. On the other hand, it is something you're going to use maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So I can go either way on that. I understand it. But yeah, basically what you do with this is you have someone hold it ideally like right above their head, like a little light bulb. Ding!
Or mount it to a helmet.
Or mount it to a helmet, or get a pole, just get creative. And basically you do a walkthrough of the full haunt, and it records everything in 360 degrees, and assuming the software fucking works on the new M1 Mac, it's pretty easy to stitch it together with the 360 video and upload to YouTube, and YouTube does support these videos.
Yeah.
And make it usable with VR sets.
And I would say put it on someone going through the haunt on a regular open night and don't tell the actors they're coming through. Because that's the way to get the most authentic experience.
I concur. That's a good idea. Now, you are going to have to make sure you have the right to film your actors, which you should already. It should already be part of your hire package. Because guess what? You're already filming them. It's called security cameras.
Yeah, or at least we hope you are.
Yeah, better be. Jesus, Murphy. But yeah, this is a great way to capture the sights and sounds. And I really do like the the 360 VR camera because it lets me as the viewer choose the perspective.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I want to ride one of those dark rides they've done the VR thing, and I want to look at nothing but what's right behind me the whole time, for whatever fucking reason I'd want to do that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I absolutely could.
Or just the ceiling. What's on the ceiling?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can choose to be as smart or as stupid as I want to be about this. So, yeah. I think that is a potentially great thing. And given the cost of these and the fact they are realistically not that difficult to use, especially if your only goal is to get it on YouTube, I think it's a great way to preserve the sights and sounds of your haunts and give more of an interactive experience to the viewers that access it. Yes, it's not interactive. It's actually going through a haunt, but it's the best we can do in digital format. Now, failing that, everyone has a high-end camera in their pocket right now.
Yeah.
I don't care how cheap and old your phone is, unless you're using, like her dad with a flip phone.
He finally got a smartphone.
Oh, he did. Even he got one. Oh,
yeah.
Damn. But yeah, basically, I looked it up. My cheap, shitty iPhone SE 2020 edition that I got 2 years ago, because I'm a cheap bastard, it has a 12-megapixel camera in it. I remember back when we first started dating.
Yeah.
We got silly excited to get a 2-megapixel camera.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the phone cameras are so good that for most instances, I don't even take my professional camera anymore because they've outpaced my digital camera that I bought for business.
Yeah. You know, you spent over $1,000 on that camera and lenses.
Yeah.
Probably closer to $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know about all the purchases, and maybe I shouldn't know about all the purchases.
Oh, they were agreed upon at the time.
Since
it
they
just
were all
adds
made
up over time.
long ago, on most cases. But yeah, you spent thousands of dollars safely on a digital camera and a bunch of lenses, and the camera you have on your phone for general purpose stuff is either as good or in some cases better.
Yeah.
Especially better from a convenience standpoint.
Right.
Because it's got to pull out the camera, switch the lens, do all this, get everything set, and then take your photo. It's a pain in the ass versus whoop, boop, you know, take a photo. So yeah, I get your point there. But yeah, could you just imagine if cell phones existed though during the JC era? Going back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before anyone jumps on me, I know there are some JCs that still do haunted houses.
Yes.
But I'm very sure that those haunted houses are very different from the ones they did in the 60s and 70s.
Right. Yeah. There's no way they're the same because everything changes.
Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, could you imagine if, like, the dawn of haunting, cell phone cameras existed? Because photography in that era was fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
People do not remember. I mean, okay, like I said, I was born in 1980. And I remember the coolest, most convenient way I remember to take photos as a kid was to get a disposable camera from usually your local pharmacy for some reason, or Walmart or whatever, and then taking all the photos, snap. You had not the fuckingest clue what you took, what was actually on that film, if anything was.
Yeah.
Then you would drop it off at a mysterious man, usually at a pharmacy for some reason, and he would develop the photos and then charge you money for the prints.
Yeah. This is, of course, for, just lay people.
Yeah. So it's like, we have such cool technology for preserving, and I think we have lost sight of that because cell phones and cell phone cameras become so ubiquitous that I know I forget. I have to remind myself about disposable cameras and the hell we went through, or even just the early digital cameras. What a nightmare those things were.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anyways, once again, you can capture sights and sounds, but this would be less interactive, which is one of the reasons why I think the 360 cameras are so cool. But still, it's a good way to capture the haunt. And I think you should do it at least once per season.
Yeah.
At least. And I agree with Crystal. Do it on a night that you're open, a regular night, and send Joe Bob or whoever's going to do the recording, send them in with a pat on the head in the middle of just the regular line of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't warn the actors. Don't tell anyone he's coming. Just let everyone try to scare him, and just give your person the instructions. You're just going to go through and let everything happen.
Right, and whenever you're buying your 360 camera, make sure that it has low light function features.
Good point.
Yeah.
Make sure it works well in low light, one way or the other. And
the reason I say that is because we went to a haunt that was filming the night we were there. We just happened to be on the same night, and we hear screams from behind us, and we look, and there's this bright light because they're filming with a camera that they have to have the light on the camera. So we knew where the camera guy was at all times because we could just look back and see the bright
that
light.
Was super distracting as an experience. If you're going to do that, segregate them from your customers completely. Do the opposite there.
Yeah.
Warn everyone they're coming. Get the customers out of the house. Do this before you open, or do this after you close. Basically, don't do this in the middle of the night. Don't do this. Don't make me put up with that guy's bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's fair, right? But yeah, and here's the thing. I think you should publish it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, maybe you don't publish it immediately. Maybe you get it up on YouTube and you get it private or something for a while, and publish it after 5 years have passed.
Okay.
Showcasing your haunt from 5 years ago. But if you change enough year to year, why not just showcase last year's haunt and say, well, this is what you missed. Think of what the crazy shit we're going to do this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I would do for us, honestly. And one thing I haven't done for us, and I feel kind of bad about that because I've wanted to, but I've never had a video I've been truly happy with.
Right. Is
one of the issues. But we have recordings of the last few years we were open. Some with static cams and a couple with the 360 cam. Mm-hmm. And I do think the 360 camera was a much better experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, regardless of whether you publish it or archive it, please record your haunt so you have it for yourself
Yeah.
and for future generations. And God forbid your haunt close. But when your haunt ain't there no more, as we say in New Orleans, people have a way to relive it.
Right.
I think that's just a good thing to do. Okay, another thing that I would like to see more of, backstage video blogs.
Mm-hmm.
Days of the Living Dead isn't just a really great series that honestly you should be subscribed to regardless of what we say,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also haunt preservation.
It is.
It really is. You're seeing behind the scenes of Zombie Army
Mm-hmm.
and their wacky shenanigans. I mean, okay, yeah, they play it up a little bit and they're having fun. You can tell they're having fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a fun crew to be part of.
Yeah, you can tell they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
But you're also seeing the build. Like, I remember watching in that show the construction of the Dragon Room at Hell's Gate.
Right. Yeah.
They did a whole long thing about the Dragon Room.
Yeah.
And I remember getting there,
Mm-hmm.
and it blew my mind knowing what went into it.
Right.
I mean, just watching all of them work and spending hours and hours on scissor lifts, getting all that shit way up high into the ceiling area.
Yeah, and it added to the experience because we had that knowledge. And not everybody's going to watch your videos.
Nah, most people won't.
No, it's just, crazy people like us who are obsessed with haunted houses.
But it's also a way to preserve the history, because here's the thing. We, as haunters, are kind of a big part of haunted attraction history.
Yeah.
Not to brag or anything, but as haunters, we all are. I mean, every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain a fish. No. This is mostly actors and owners here I'm talking to. But yeah, the point is, we're part of haunted attraction history. We need to preserve what we're doing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, preserving the customer experience is great, but our experience matters too.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to do that, a great way to do that, is these backstage video blogs.
Yeah.
Show people what you're working on. Show people what you're doing. Once again, maybe you don't publish them right away. Maybe wait until the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how we built the giant whatever room.
Yeah.
This is how we built this prop. And yeah, now everyone's seen the prop. The surprise is largely gone. You can do that.
Yeah. So I want to build on this idea of the blogs and blogs. So we've been to the World War II Museum many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I'm thinking about right now are all of the interviews that they had with people, like the survivors of it.
Yeah.
And so you could actually interview, that when haunt actors get together and they start talking about the best scares, you could film those, you could interview them about that, have them talk about their scares. And you could also do this for your characters. You could have a person in character talk about that character's life and why they're part of your haunted house.
And I've got to say, there have been a lot of great documentaries that have done things like this. And maybe that's something we should do in a different episode. Is because really hone in on this. I'm trying to, the focus here is more about what haunts can do to preserve their history. So the documentaries relies on someone else, obviously, so that's kind of out of bounds. But I really do think we should do an episode where we just sit down, we watch a whole bunch of haunted house documentaries and talk about, because we've reviewed one that went well. But there are plenty of others, and we actually reviewed Spookers and enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you could do that with your haunt.
Yeah, you can do that yourself, yeah.
Yeah, it's not, because preserving haunt history for me is not just about the haunt experience.
No.
It's also about the people who make it, the experience they have.
The characters that we brought to life through it. Because as far as I'm concerned, in the kayfabe of haunting, those characters are every bit as alive as we are.
Yeah. Bernie
Baxter is every bit as real as I am.
Oh yeah, he's your alternate ego.
Honestly, these days I think he's more real than I am, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so yeah, I think this is a thing. I agree. That's actually a very good idea. And you can host these on your social media. You can put these on your YouTube channel. This is content you can use to promote your haunt while at the same time preserving it. And I think that's a powerful thing.
So I had another crazy idea before we get into some of these other things. What if... So when you go to a museum and they have the placards?
Yeah.
Some of them talk to you, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But you could have that in your queue line. Little history of where you started, when you started, how many people you had, how long you've been open. And basically pictures of each of the years that you've been open, so people can look at it and learn about your haunt as they're getting ready to go in.
That's a good idea. And honestly, we keep talking about better queue line experience, better wait experiences. And one thing Disney does is have little interactive or readable things like that as you're waiting in the queue line. So you're not just sitting there staring at your cell phone at Disney. I can sit and stare at my cell phone for free in my own goddamn home. I don't need to pay Disney lots of money to go stare at my cell phone in a hot-ass Florida sun.
Right.
Sorry. Anyways, the final thing I wanted to talk about right now is props and items. Basically, prop, static, and animated costumes, set elements that you break down. They often get just thrown away and discarded. For other kinds of history, this is something you would take to a museum. Now, that's not something we have.
No. Maybe we should.
So why not create one?
Yeah.
It's that simple. Why not have a sideshow element? If you have a sideshow type thing, have an element where you have props and characters and things from years gone by that people can interact with.
Yeah, or if you have a merch booth that you don't have enough merchandise to fill the area, then make a wall of the haunted history of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know?
You can preserve a lot of these things and use them either as decoration or interactive elements in other spaces. And I really do think it'd be interesting to have a paid museum-like attraction.
Yeah.
Where the museum is stuff that from the years past in the haunt, and there's an interactive actor in there that's maybe A, giving you some history like a good tour guide, but also B, being a haunted attraction actor and messing with you too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see that.
I can see that, especially for a lot of people who feel like they've outgrown or aged out of haunting inside of the haunt, but still want to be involved in the community.
Yeah, especially if they're like physically unable to.
Exactly.
Like I don't know how well my back's going to take this year. I'm a little worried.
I'm not sure how we're going to make it through 10 more years.
But if you have a haunt with a long history and you do have stuff like this laying around, why not put it out there?
Yeah.
Why not let guests see it?
If you have a bar or restaurant attached to the haunt, why not do what the House of Blues does and put...
Or Planet Hollywood or something.
Yeah, and put the put items on display with the history of it.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I agree. And I'm thinking like things that'd be interesting, like Pumpkin Smasher's hammer.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you got you got a main character with a favorite weapon or a favorite prop of some type, something like that would go really well. Or if you've had a scene that you had for many years and a lot of people remember that's now gone, put that in there.
Yeah.
Put elements from that. And realistically, you can do a lot with this idea. All right. But to wrap it up, because we're getting a little tight on time, some general tips here. Some general thoughts and tips. First is connect with local preservation organizations. I'm always amazed at how granular these organizations get sometimes.
Yes.
Like, it does get ridiculously granular. Like, we've been in small towns, and I swear 3 people and a goat live there, and they have a historical preservation society and a museum there.
Yes, and we try to hit those museums.
Oh, yeah. What was that one we had, the earthquake one?
There was the earthquake one, yes.
That was interesting.
It was where the Mississippi River ran backwards.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that town had like nobody in it.
No.
Other than the dude running the museum, I don't think I saw another human being in that town. I mean, straight up. But yeah, I guarantee you there is a local preservation society somewhere that may be relevant. They can give you advice on how to preserve things, give you ideas that I can't. That's why we're bringing the smart person on later, I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they might even be able to help you preserve directly by helping, taking some items and including them.
Yeah.
Because if you have been a member of your community for decades in particular, yeah, they might be interested in doing that. So yeah, just something to think about. Second, if you have a historic building, which many, many haunts do, you have obligations to protect it, even if there aren't any laws enforcing it. Because the thing about it is like this, there are so many historic buildings that don't get put on historical registries, they don't get protected locally or nationally or whatever. They just fall through the cracks. It happens. if you're in one of those buildings, please treat it like it is legally protected. I'm asking you that because I don't want to see haunts destroy other history to make their own.
Exactly.
And I think that the mortuary locally, they do a very good job preserving. They're actually, I really do respect the job they've done and upkeep on the mortuary building. I know it was super controversial when they took it over.
Yeah.
And I can see why, and I still kind of think I'm still a little uneasy about that.
Yeah, I still think that there's still some controversy there.
Yeah, but they have done a good job in making sure the haunt and the escape rooms and everything they do not harm the building.
Right.
They've done a very good job with that. And so, yeah, follow their example, basically. And basically what I want everyone to do is take a moment right now, before season starts, to think of what you will do to preserve this year, this season, the best you can. How will you capture the season the best you can? What will you do with the props and the scenes that you've replaced or are pulling out now? And how can we make sure that someone 10, 20, or 50 years in the future can experience the 2022 season of your haunt?
Yeah.
Because that's what this is about. I want people to... I don't want what I have with like the JC haunts, where I can read about it. I can see the grainy black and white photographs of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. There's a couple short videos out there, but nothing of any quality to give you any idea what the hell actually happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen a few videos, but not much. I don't want that to happen to our haunt and to our haunts right now. If I want... in 2052, if I want to revisit the 2022 year of the mortuary haunted house in New Orleans, I want to know that there is a VR walkthrough of it I can experience.
Yeah.
I want to be the old man in the retirement home wearing VR goggles, visiting haunted houses from my youth.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
That makes a lot of sense.
So now I'm going to pull out the Oculus and try those dark rides, I think. But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past hour with us. You can catch more of us at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly... excuse me. Ran out of oxygen. Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/Haunt Weekly. You can also catch us wherever you get your podcasts, Google, Apple, I don't know, everywhere. Wherever, man. I mean, there's so many of them. There's like 4,000 of them. You do you. Seriously. You do you, podcast people. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we'll see you all next week with another update on what the hell's going on with our haunt.